Hi guys, weekly market outlook. Today on this Saturday, we are trading on the 5th of October, and what a week this has been. Well, non-farm payrolls much stronger than expected. The US dollar gearing up some further momentum, and with that we might actually see and gear up some sort of further motivation for potential volatility in this coming week ahead. Volatility as in, we got quite a bit of figures coming up here. Wednesday, we got the interest rate decision from New Zealand. RBNZ, are they going to adjust rates is the big question. So far, a lowering of interest rates is going to be the expectation, and that could impact, and we should start with that, the New Zealand dollar. Currently, the Kiwi, as it's called, has lost some steam, some strong momentum actually, with the market likely going to weaken even further. Downside motivation might be seen should the market basically continue with this huge kind of pin bar candlestick. Sorry, not a pin bar candlestick. This is actually a belt candle, like a strong one, indicating that losses might continue here, and the market motivation in this case could, and where did it happen, could weaken even further, because right on top at the tip of the 50 moving average, the market started selling off. If that is not a potential continuation pattern, then I'm also not too sure what to think about. But definitely here with the market, actually we see this triangle formation towards the end of the current market trend, indicating losses might continue. Downside momentum could take over the market sentiment for now. The Australian dollar also kind of weakening somehow, and that all has to do with the greenback. The US dollar gearing up a lot of steam. Non-farm payrolls kicked in at 200 something, 250,000 newly created jobs, much stronger than expected. Reason potentially for the Federal Reserve to continue lowering interest rates anytime soon, as the labor market might not show, as they could claim, any further impact. Economic activity still standing utterly strong there, meaning in this case the rate path and the ongoing rate cycle might be the story, which is kind of quite the interesting one. And then looking at the dollar index right now, we can see that this entire story happened right at the 50 moving average, with the market potentially increasing right now momentum. Dollar index gearing up steam, and in this case further implications for other metals, oil and stocks shall be discussed as well. Let's have a look at the volatility index, the VIX, showing the volatility, basically options trading and all that. Let's not be too anal about it, about the S&P 500. So basically how much an insurance is being used against falling prices in stock markets, or in this case in the S&P 500. That one shows us that volatility is silent and secretly moving to the upside. So is there a question that falling prices in equities might occur? I might say we could be kind of rather close, as the election in the US is looming. Middle East tensions are still potentially increasing and gearing up further negative, unfortunately, momentum. With that, obviously, downside momentum in equities indicated by the rise in volatility index could be interesting to observe. Looking at the S&P 500, the market is currently kind of at the higher price level, and there is some chances that falling prices might occur, as the downside momentum could continue here. That's the S&P 500, where a downside motivation. Currently the market is rising somehow, but again, as well in the Dow Jones, the market has increased its value over the recent couple of trading days. However, at this market environment here, we might say some weaker price levels, some weakening trend momentum could be seen, and that weakening momentum might happen at some point soon, depending on how the situation looks, as the economic stability, economic factors might point for some slight losses in the markets, especially if the US dollar is starting to appreciate somehow further, as we just announced or talked about when looking at the dollar index. The dollar itself, the euro, is weakening here and right on top of or at the edge of this resistance area. Looking at it from the long-term monthly chart, there is chances that the market falls back into the previous range with weaker prices being expected. That's how we see this situation. The same might happen as well on the pound US dollar right now on and near the 50 moving average. So further losses might continue as well. In the Australian dollar, we kind of discussed this situation here. So let's examine whether the situation will continue somehow further and whether downside motivation in this market and the strength of the dollar might be seen anytime soon. We got the FOMC meeting minutes, not too much being expected here. 50 basis point rate cut, that's the one from 2 weeks ago, basically, where the Federal Reserve reduced interest rates. However, we got figures from the US in terms of consumer prices, which could be interesting. Whether they're going to weaken again further, that's at least the expectation we can see here, looking at this market for now. And that figure based on the monthly and yearly market environment could be something interesting, kind of paired with unemployment claims, and we shall see how these ones are going to move, because unemployment claims, they were kind of quite as forecast suggested this week here on the 3rd, and further market momentum here and further motivation in these next couple of trading days might give us further reason for further volatile moves. Out of Canada, we got numbers as well. Quite often they fall on the same non-farm payroll Friday, which would have been the Friday yesterday. That they didn't this week. Employment change is going to potentially give us insightful momentum, as well as the unemployment rate, which is giving us potentially market motivation to be visible. The euro against the Canadian dollar is losing some sort of steam at the moment, and the market is clearly celebrating some sort of downside motivation. Well, is the market then kind of quite late, but is the market following up with what we expected, that this pin bar candlestick pattern here was not exceeded to the upside? Hence, the market is basically appreciating in favor of the loonie Canadian dollar. We might say, yes, this could be the case. The market of the high points weakening here right now. So downside momentum might be seen. And again, we can delete clearly this arrow here of the 50 moving average as a strong resistance zone here. The US dollar against the Canadian dollar might weaken further, so downside pressure might continue. However, the market kind of this week so far was rising. The question is, which market should we take into consideration here right now? First of all, if the 50 moving average holds, the upside seems to be rather limited and the market might rather instead weaken further. If the 50 moving average is being broken, then upside momentum could continue and cause the upside momentum here with the greenback, the US dollar rising like a shining star, while obviously US dollar strength fueling this current move here, and the upside might continue. Gold prices are somewhat stable, and that's now the question. The stock markets, will we face a correction? I might say yes, potentially. The gold prices continue to rise. The situation in the US is not perfect, it's not bad. It is somewhat showing us that the trust might be kind of reignited right now into the economic development there. But definitely what we see when looking at the gold price here, there was a ton of volatility at around this news event, yet the markets didn't do anything much in the end. However, here it looks like the uptrend is still strongly in place. When looking at it from the basic daily chart here, that's not correct. In silver, we can see that the silver market as well is about to break out from this resistance area. The trend to the upside here, the triangle formation, might tell us that also silver could push higher. However, momentum in silver not totally comparable with gold. If the economy stands properly and positively in terms of the demand side, the market might increase somehow further. However, if the economy remains kind of a bit unstable and a bit weaker, the demand in silver might weaken, and hence obviously silver could be pulled to the downside. Last but not least, and quickly also about oil in the next few minutes, but the crypto sector is weakening here right now. XRP issues SEC court ruling. That case seems to be ongoing, and hence XRP is trending to the downside even further. We can see that the US dollar strength seems to be rather of negative impact here in the crypto sector. Ether negative, we talked about it. Bitcoin off the resistance area, not able to rise beyond it. On the daily chart, well, the market is kind of influenced by the 50 moving average, as it is quite often, potentially rising further. However, the weekly chart points to some further losses, and when looking at the other markets like Litecoin here, for example, we can see the markets seem to be a bit reluctant to rise for now. So basically, cryptos might be better off awaiting, or are in a bit of a pattern where we might say we are better off waiting further for further entry opportunities. The biggest call of the week so far, I might say, was the oil market, because before even falling further, we had it last week, this strong and heavy attacks, retaliation, however you might call it. But still, the Middle Eastern pressure and tension leaving oil prices with rising influence. Trendline, daily chart being broken to the upside. 50 moving average being broken to the upside. The weekly chart looks like the market is celebrating clearly this support zone as it lasts, and hence obviously upside potential could continue. We have a couple of lines in the sand here. We have a couple of areas where the market might push higher. And now finally, when the market, or if it does close above the 50 moving average here, then upside momentum in the oil price or in the oil market likely, or not likely, can't say that, but might cause upside momentum. And with that next coming week, RBNZ interest rate decision, data from Canada, consumer prices from the US, we have plenty of data to basically celebrate or look for further market volatility and market moves. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to leave your comments below the video and just subscribe to our channel. Thanks for tuning in. Again, see you then. Ciao.